Hello and welcome to Under Center with Jake Russell. I'm your host, Collin Sheffield. Alongside me is head coach Jake Russell. Coach, the Tigers took a massive bounce-back win, 62-9 over Receiving Boat's Faulkner Eagles team. The team was on all three phases locked in the entire game. We heard from several coaches, from you, that week of practice was probably one of the most locked in that this team has been in quite some time. And, you know, a lot of talk about how, you come back mad from a game that like Cumberland, Tennessee. You feel like maybe you lost it yourself. You didn't really get beat. You feel like you lost it. So they came out with a fire through practice, and it really showed on game time from the starting buzzer to the ending buzzer, 62-9 over a very good Faulkner team, honestly, that's been kind of scaring some people every now and again and had some really close losses to some really good teams, and you all just find a way to make it look effortless.
Yeah, our team, I think, is starting to realize that great preparation and practice, results in great performance on Saturday. We've talked about, through a lot of these shows how we haven't necessarily had great weeks of practice and preparation and still found ways to win, which can be very dangerous. And, hopefully, or, maybe looking back at the end of this season, which we hope continues on for several weeks, we will say that the Cumberland, Tennessee loss was a necessity for us to accomplish our goals. Obviously, in the moment, nobody wants to hear that, and I don't think that's always the case, that a loss is a good thing. But it was a great week of preparation for our guys. Now, obviously, the big challenge moving forward is that just another blip in the radar? I told our team after the game, I said, we've kind of went through this cycle all year where we have a great week of preparation, we go play a really good game. I think week one, finding a way to win on the road versus St. Francis, who's got a great shot to finish 9-2 and possibly being at large in the playoffs. Then we kind of took a step back in our preparation, right? Then Lindsey Wilson, I believe, was probably the best week of preparation we had. You go and win a top 10 matchup against a really good team that's going to be in the playoffs, I believe. And then you kind of take a step back. And now is it going to be that again? Or can we finally have these guys convinced that if we just prepare like that every week, we can beat anybody in the country? And so, yes, it was a great game. I don't think Faulkner played their best. As you mentioned, they've given some teams some really good challenges and found ways to even win in our conference for a first-year head coach, which was really hard to do. And I think they'll continue to be really competitive. They have one game left. But the other thing you mentioned, that I think probably for the first time this year, maybe the Lindsey game a little bit, all three phases played really, really well. And when that happens, we are a very good football team. We're a very dangerous football team. I think we have the ability and skill to beat anybody in the country when that happens. And so, again, that's the big challenge of this week, is can we duplicate that probably for the first time all year, 2 weeks in a row. And then obviously next week to finish our season will be 3 weeks in a row.
We'll take a look at some of these numbers. Jet Engel throws for over 200 yards. He has 4 touchdowns. Caleb Lawrence had a big 40-yard pick six. Jeremy Smith, you got 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 rushing. He was really moving throughout. I mean, a back that can come in behind Trey Bass or an Archella Smith and still stand alone in his own. He's really coming into it here towards the end of his season.
We have players every year that as the season goes on, probably when they, especially true freshmen, when they first come in, you say, man, this guy's got a lot of potential. And then as the season goes, he's showing in practice, sometimes even in the Futures Bowl. Like Jeremy actually is still playing in the Futures Bowl. He played in a simulated game Thursday, and then he's out there playing quite a bit for us on Saturday. But we're trying to, kind of shorten his learning curve and get him just up to speed really, really fast. And, like Ashton Alker was a guy his true freshman year 2 years ago that wasn't really playing much, wasn't starting, and then halfway through the year it was like, we've got to get him on the field and get the ball in his hands. Jeremy has done that. Jay-Sean Pritchard, who we call One Way, it's just funny to even say his real name, but One Way has been a guy like that where when those two guys are in the game, they may not be getting a ton of reps, but when they're in, we're trying to force them to have opportunities to get the ball, because every time Jeremy is touching the ball, every time One Way, and we have several guys like that, good things are happening. And so both those guys have done a phenomenal job. Jeremy, as you mentioned, really getting rewarded. He plays with great energy. He actually recovered the fumble that Trent had, and then when he scored one of his touchdowns, he kind of fumbled as he went in. The ground caused it, and then he just ran and jumped on that as well. He's a physical player, even though he's not a big guy, and he's an elite pass catcher for a running back. When we recruited him, we were kind of up in the air about, is this a slot? Is this a running back? Is this the hybrid? One, Jeremy's just a great football player, but two, he has shown that he can be physical enough to play running back. And obviously we're going to lose a lot and lose a guy that, may be the conference player of the year, but definitely one of the better guys in the conference. And I think Jeremy over his career is going to be able to fill a lot of that role. And then I do want to also touch on Caleb Lawrence, who you mentioned, because obviously DQ was out for the first half of this game. Then we have Tank is out and hopefully going to be back this week with the cast on his hand. And Jock Williams and Caleb Lawrence both had to step in and play a ton of reps, and those guys did a phenomenal job. Obviously, Caleb had the big play with the pick six that really kind of started getting things going downhill. And super proud of those guys, because both those guys are good enough to play at a lot of schools that we play and start over there, and they've stayed ready, and they've done a great job. And both those guys also have 3 more years after this year and are going to have awesome careers here.
So it was 13-0 when you started the game, and then it went to 13-9. They scored 9 unanswered and started moving down the way. And then it just took off from there. 42 unanswered points for the Tigers. The offense really seemed to find its way quickly. What can you attribute maybe to that success?
Going back to great preparation, we always have a few plays in. Just talking to Khalil and you guys before the game. It's always fun to put in the plays for the game, the wrinkles and the little things. And the first drive was very funny because the first play of the game, we had something we thought would be wide open. It was, and we miss it, which happens. And then we just we run a second play that we thought had great potential. We score, and there's a holding penalty. Then we run a play that's just kind of one of our base offensive plays, and we get a post wide open, and Roland, who's probably had the best season at receiver and the most consistent for sure, he's going to be an all-conference guy. He drops a big post. Yeah. And it's like, man, we really should have scored 4 times on the first drive. And I was telling the staff, like, well, I've used 3 or 4 of our scoring plays, so we're going to have to figure out how to score. But, I think the offense, when our offense is the best, the run is feeding into the pass. And I think that's what happened on Saturday was we were running the ball very effectively. Our 12 personnel, I think, really caught them off guard where we have 2 tight ends. Brock Schultz has really stepped up. Jack has continued to play at a first-team all-conference level. And, Jack's just such a great leader in our program because he's a guy that, I should do a better job of finding ways to get him the touches. But because he's been such a good player in our offense and because he's such a weapon, now the other H-back tight end gets 3 catches in a game, right? And so Brock, I only think had maybe a couple catches in his career leading up to that. And so now Brock's getting opportunities. Jack's going to continue to play well. He's had his best season as a blocker. One of the reasons our run game has just shot through the roof is because of Jack Busey and his blocking. So very proud of those guys, but I just think the offense had a great flow to it on Saturday where the run was going well, some of the screens were going well, and that feeds into the big play opportunities in play action.
Well, we'll talk about the defense whenever we come back. We'll also have Coach Ford to kind of step away and talk about the defense as well. And when we come back, we'll sit down with Coach Ford here on Under Center with Jake Russell.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
Hello, welcome back to Under Center with Jake Russell. I'm your host, Collin Sheffield. With me, one of my favorite all-time guests is defensive coach Coach Ford. Coach, I'm so glad to have you on. You're just a ray of sunshine. As long as you're not in the booth, you're a ray of sunshine to be around. So much fun to be with. Super excited to have you on.
No, thanks for having me, man. I love being here. I mean, my 3 years here so far have just been some of the best years of my life. And, working for Coach Russell and being the staff that we have, I mean, I'm so blessed with just the great group of staff guys, Coach Atwood and Coach Owens and Robbie Gribbins. And, we're missing Coach Beatty. Obviously, we had him for the last couple of years, and we've had some kids really step up there. Josiah Roby and Bladen Meadows have really stepped up as young. They've just finished playing with us. Well, now they're coaching with us. And so I'm really blessed by the surrounding and everybody around me. And obviously you and Khalil and the job you guys do. But it's a lot of fun, man. I enjoy the heck out of it. Obviously it's different on Saturday, and it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
But Coach Gribbins calls me kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. I'm like, you're a Marine. I know you saw people worse than me. And he's like, you're pretty bad, Coach. Well, we have a good time, and I have a great group of guys. It's a great surrounding, and Campbellsville continues to create a great experience, not only for me, but everybody I come in contact with here.
Well, I think Campbellsville is absolutely blessed to have you, not only just who you are as a person, but as a coach as well. That's not even just me saying it. That is the stats saying it. This defense is lights out, Coach. They do so well. Obviously, this year maybe is a little more on the back end, perhaps, than you'd like to give up at times. The pass yards sometimes get a little out of whack, and some of that comes down to breakdowns and things in the back end, and that's going to happen, of course. But you've done so well up front in the run game. Minus, you take out Cumberland, Tennessee, and you're holding teams to 60-odd yards a game rushing.
Right.
That is almost unheard of at this level, and this defense has been all around a force to be reckoned with, and I can't imagine being an offense, being able to play behind a defense that goes out there and able to hold to a very small number of points in yardage.
Well, we ask a lot of our kids and a lot of our coaches, and obviously a lot of it starts in the spring, and that's why when we recruit, we always tell guys, we really need you here in the spring to learn this defense kind of thing. It's really hard to pick up to do it that fast in the fall, which is, pretty incredible when we got a couple of freshmen out there. Everybody has injuries this time of year, and so, Marcus Bell's playing good for us on the D-line, and obviously Jaquan Coulter from right here in town, and Jermaine Tyler at corner, and some of these guys that have had to step in as true freshmen. And my hat's off to them, because they, you really have to be a student of the game and really study, and they've done a great job, as well as our whole defense. I mean, we've hit some patches where we just haven't played well and we haven't executed, and a lot of it has to do, doesn't have to do with their talent or their physicality or any of that stuff. It's just what they have between their ears. They got to learn and grow, and just the experiences. And I think that's the thing, that all these games continue to get us valuable experience, and hopefully these experiences really pay off for, certainly this upcoming game, because we play a tremendous opponent in Bethel. I mean, they're very good everywhere. We'll have our work cut out for us, and I just have so much respect for, that staff's brand new. They haven't even had a chance to really have much time with their kids. So to do what they've been doing is really a tribute to them. And, we'll have our work cut out for us this week for sure.
And I know I've gotten to talk to a lot of the defensive coaches beforehand, and so that's why I'm always trying to remember what I said to you, what I said to them. But this defense lost a lot of players at the start of this year. A lot of players were gone, and a lot of big players at that too. So you bring in a lot of transfers. Guys like Chase Maynard come in, and they're making immediate impacts. Guys like Ellis Reed come back, and they make just a tremendous bit of difference. And then you get guys on the edge, and you've got Dawson Carson in there now. You've got Tyson Watson. Those guys make big plays whenever you need them to. Guys on the edge, Darius Willis come in. Of course, he's been injured, which kind of hurts a little bit, but you've had a lot in terms of corners being able to step up and help. C.J. Cutliff, probably no more of a physical corner in the league than C.J. Cutliff. I think he has 4 or 5 tackles for loss. He's actually up there on the team lead, I think, 4 tackles for loss. So this is a very physical, fly-around, beat-em-up defense, and you've been able to do it away from people that really know this and have been really good at it, and you bring people in and they're able to adjust so quickly.
Yeah, it's the type of, it's what we're trying to establish here. And again, being in our 3rd year, we've had a lot of guys that have come through that have really helped establish that with people that have grown through our program. I think like one of the first people I met here as a player was Noah Gray, and Noah Gray was one of the hardest working guys, and just, you know, he never had the luxury of going through some of these winning seasons that we're going through, but Noah's a champion. I mean, you were never going to trick Noah or beat him, or, you know, I wish he was on these teams kind of thing. And, you know, I look at some of the guys that, you know, we've had that have grown from that. And like you said, the new people coming in, like Mari's another one that has come out and done some good things on the edge, and guys that have been here. But they, you know, now it's just the continued growth and knowledge and experience. And you know, you don't know what you don't know. And we're trying to make sure with our experience as coaches that they know. And if they don't know, they're going to learn the hard way. And we have had cases where we've learned the hard way a lot this year. And we're not where we want to be as a defense, at least not yet. And you know, there's no better time to get things figured out than the next game. And hopefully we continue to learn and grow and develop and get better at what we're doing. But it's tough because the teams that we play against are very, very good. And so it's definitely learning by being under fire. And this team's no different. It'll be a heck of a football game this Saturday.
Yeah, what's one of the things that's going to make Bethel maybe so difficult to try to step up and defend?
Their athleticism. I mean, they're so athletic, and the quarterback is so much. I mean, this is the first time I think in my 30 years of coaching that I've faced an offensive coordinator and his brother at quarterback. So, I mean, I can't imagine what it's like when they go home after a game. It's just like, hey, I told you to read this on this play. It's just like, bro, like, not now. It's, you know, so I think that's really kind of cool. But it's pretty – I mean, those guys probably can finish each other's sentences by growing up to get with each other and knowing the offense as well as they do, probably. And then the receivers are so athletic for them, and they have running backs that can get loose. Their offensive line, I mean, you know, they're no different than us. I mean, they've had injuries too, and they've had to learn under fire, and to be able to do what they've been able to do this year under the injuries and new staff and being first year, I mean, it's an incredible job by them.
Coach, we appreciate you. Can't wait to see you down on the field and in the booth on Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you for all you guys do, and thank you to Campbellsville University and our president and the athletic director and everybody, and just help us keep growing and keep getting where we want to get to. Thank you for everything.
We'll step away and take a quick break. When we come back, we'll sit down and we'll talk with Coach Russell about the upcoming matchup with Bethel here on Under Center with Jake Russell.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Welcome back to Under Center with Jake Russell. I'm your host, Collin Sheffield. With me for the final segment is head coach Jake Russell. Coach, so we'll get touching in on that defense real quick. You played against a quarterback that's one of the best athletes in the nation, and you really just had him running for his life the whole time. He really couldn't get settled in to either make maybe a more concerted effort to run as a quarterback. They were already on top of him. He really didn't have time to look downfield to make a throw and beat you overhead. And you had him pretty much just in shambles. He couldn't really do much. And he took a lot of big hits as well throughout the day. So I know he had to probably get in the ice bath and sleep well after that game.
Yeah, the very encouraging thing on the defensive side was there was a clear-cut game plan on our side. Obviously trying to make him give the ball when he was reading people, trying to, contain him and keep him in the pocket while trying to make him move backwards as a passer. Unbelievably talented guy. When we got there, I went and sat on the bench, just kind of going over the game plan for the offensive side, and I'm watching him throw and watching him move around, and I'm like, man, just what a talent. But if you can do a great job of trying to force him into things that he struggles with and that their offense, and that's true for any game, right? As a defensive staff, Coach Ford and his guys have done such an amazing job over the last few years of what do we want to take away? Is there a specific thing or a few things? Is there a specific player or a few players that we want to limit and take away? And they've done such a great job of that. Then you get your couple turnovers that you need in a game to kind of pull away and have a big win. And they did a great job executing that game plan. And as you mentioned, really the pressure and making that quarterback move. I don't think we ended up with we only ended up with a couple sacks. But really the pressure and the push is what changed the game. And that's always going to be important. I kind of joke with the staff or quarterback sometimes. It's like it's really not a hard game when you can just stand there and have a ton of time, like 7-on-7. I think myself, Coach Brown, a lot of us old quarterbacks think we could still do that, but when you have to move and still make those decisions and deliver the ball, that's when it gets really tough. And our defense did a great job of applying a lot of push and making him get off of his spot throughout the game.
Bethel, now looking forward, you play a Bethel team that just last week beats Georgetown. That's a top 20 win for Bethel. They start climbing the ranks. They've looked really good as time has moved on, and they're starting to get even better and even better. So now they're coming off of a big Georgetown win. Now they come in to try to knock off the Tigers on a senior night.
Yeah, Coach Springer, who's been their defensive coordinator the last few years, took over as the head coach. He's done a great job because what you want to see in your first year as a head coach is kind of your vision and improvement go throughout the year. And one thing you can clearly look at Bethel is they're playing with more confidence and playing better at this point in the year than they have, all through the year. And I was just talking to Jamie on the radio and said something very unique about this game that I didn't even think about until he started reading the standings and the rest of the schedules, because I believe Bethel plays Lindsey Wilson next week. Bethel actually is the only other team in our conference that controls their own destiny. If they win the next two games, they're conference champs. They're going to the playoffs. They have those dreams as well. And obviously we do as well. And then you've got Lindsey as the other team with one loss who's got a great opportunity and is going to be watching this game very closely. And that's what makes this conference so fun is like everybody is so good and everybody a week ago it was totally different. Now this week it's different, but Bethel is very talented. They have a lot of speed and length. They play very physical. Obviously with a defensive-minded head coach, some of their big wins this year have been kind of the lower scoring games. And I think they'll try to do that. They've done a great job of controlling the game on offense. I think you see the potential in their offense and what they're trying to build in that. And then I think their defense has really been a strength of their team, and they've done a great job of stopping the run, but also have some DBs that are very talented that they can try to put out there on an island and have won a lot this year.
And, ice in the kicker's veins. I think his name is Clutch. I think I heard on the broadcast, and he hits the game tire right at the buzzer to take him to overtime. And they really got downhill right there in that overtime segment. I'm sure you've had some time to watch some film and watch some tape, and that running back really just had the will to score. They got into that hurry-up offense and just took it to Georgetown 3 straight times right up the gut and drug defenders into the end zone to end it. And I think I was remarking beforehand just what Bethel had down the stretch. In the month of November alone, they had Georgetown, us, and they have Lindsey Wilson to end their schedule. And talk about a gauntlet to end your November out. But they seem to be handling it well so far.
Yeah, again, credit to Coach Springer and his staff. Our first year here at Campbellsville, that was our finish, was kind of the gauntlet of the conference and the best 3 or 4 teams there at the end. And that can really break your will. In our first year here, we kind of struggled down through that stretch because it's just one after the next, and some of those on the road, it can beat you up, and they've really been very resilient. And to find a way to win that game, as you mentioned, where, they're behind, and if you look at, I always am fascinated in college football, the ESPN kind of graphic that shows win probability, right? At one point in that game against Georgetown, that win probability for Bethel was probably 1 to 5%, and to find a way to win a game like that, I think they've even been in a couple overtime games. Like, they're going to be battle tested. They're not going to be intimidated coming into the environment. They're not going to be intimidated by opponent, because now they're playing with a lot of confidence of we can play and beat, you know, anybody on our schedule. And again, just the excitement of where their season could go. Like, we're going to get their best test. And so again, we've got to have a great week of preparation. We've got to give them our best, and I think it'll be a good football game.
Yeah, and when you find a way to win with only scoring 2 offensive touchdowns, that's certainly not too shabby. Now, talk about it, senior night. Obviously, that's a big thing. We've got a lot of seniors coming down the barrel, so we're not going to have time to go through all 28 or so seniors that we have, but maybe highlight a few and what this senior group has meant to this team.
Yeah, I think we have 31 going through senior day, and there's 3 or 4 that went through it last year that are playing for us. This senior group is the one that we'll look back on hopefully in 5, 10, 20 years and say, you know, that core group of guys was the one that really truly believed that we could do this. And, you know, I hope that after this season, that's the group that actually did it, right? We talked to the team last year and had a great group of seniors last year. And obviously, end of the year was tough, and we, you know, felt like we should have had the opportunity, and we were so close of going on. And we said, we didn't quite obtain our goals, but you guys have set the program up to accomplish them, hopefully in 2025. Well, here we are, and I do believe, and I've seen the sacrifice and you know, the dedication. And what's really special about this group is there's a small group of this seniors that came to Campbellsville, have been here, you know, through the transition of head coaches, through times where they're struggling to win games and really struggling in the conference, and have been resilient through our first year here, which was very up and down, and kind of trying to convince them, like, guys, we can do this, and there's some hope in there, and there's some where it's like, man, we're not there yet. And then you have an awesome group that kind of came here when we first came here, some guys from our previous school, some transfers we brought in. And then you have a really special group of guys that have been here a very short time, either just since January or even just since August, and say, hey, come here to Campbellsville, we're building something special, give this a chance. And they bought into our vision and our goals very fast. So it's been awesome to see. I always love senior day because of the families, and you get to kind of see their families come and be so proud. And in this senior group, you're going to have guys that won't play a snap this season. You're going to have guys that obviously are going to be first team all-conference, possibly all-Americans, and everything in between. But what's so awesome is every one of those guys has bought into helping this team accomplish our goals in some form or fashion, whatever their role is, for each game, each week, each season, whatever it is. And that's sacrifice, that's football, that's why it's the best game in the world. That's things that go way beyond the game as a future husband, father, all those things. And yeah, it's just, I really hope we play well, and I really hope we honor this group the right way.
Coach, we appreciate you. Can't wait to watch the game on Saturday.
Absolutely excited for it.
Tigers are back at home after a 2-week road stand. They have that game set for 1:30 here at Finley Stadium. It is senior night, so be sure to show up and be loud and proud for those seniors as we try to send them off in their final home game as the Tigers take on the Bethel Wildcats. You can tune into that game on the Campbellsville Tigers YouTube channel, as well as on 88.7 The Tiger, or on the TuneIn app, and you just look up WLCU, and you can find us there, as myself and Khalil Baker will have the call for that one. And as always, be sure to tune in next week to Under Center with Jake Russell.